He touched her wrist again. Soft. Intentional. Dangerous. This was supposed to be therapy. Not a game. Not seduction. But it was too late for rules now. Dr. Mai Lin, brilliant, married, respected, was sitting inches from a man who had studied her more deeply than any textbook ever could. And as his lips parted to speak, she knew he wasn't here to heal. He was here to destroy. This was their 13th session. Unlucky for some. Fatal for others. Jian Wu smiled like he'd already won. Mai told herself she was still in control. But her hands were shaking. Somewhere, in the back of her mind, a voice whispered, "You should have ended this 10 sessions ago." But curiosity is a slow kind of death. It started with dreams. In them, Jian never spoke. He only stared. He'd run his fingers down her neck. Her skin burned with guilt. But she didn't wake up screaming. She woke up wanting. And when she saw him again, she lied. She told him she slept well. He tilted his head. "You dreamed about me, didn't you?" She froze. He smiled, slow and cruel. Like a man dissecting a butterfly and enjoying it. He didn't guess. He knew. And she didn't deny it. She told herself it was for research. For closure. For control. But the truth was simpler. She wanted him. And so, she broke the code. No longer his therapist. Just a woman. Alone. In her office. After hours. Waiting. She laid down the rules. No contact outside the office. No discussing her personal life. No touching. He listened, quietly. And when she finished, he asked, "Then why are you wearing perfume today?" The email came at midnight. No subject. No signature. Just 7 words. "I know you better than he does." She didn't reply. But she didn't delete it either. She asked Jian about his mother. He asked her if she wanted children. She told him that was irrelevant. He said, "Then why did you hesitate before saying no?" The room spun. She couldn't tell anymore whose therapy this really was. He told her about a dream. She was in it. But not as a doctor. As a woman. Soft. Touching. Laughing. She should have cut the session. But instead, she whispered, "Tell me more." She reached for her notebook. He brushed her hand. She didn't pull away. That was the moment it shifted. That was when therapy died. And the obsession was born. He always walked slowly at the end of their sessions. As if he knew she'd watch him. She waited by the window, every time. Telling herself it wasn't attraction. Just curiosity. But her breath always caught when he looked back. Week 9. He didn't show. No text. No call. She told herself it didn't matter. But she barely slept that night. What if something happened to him? What if he'd found another therapist? The jealousy hit harder than fear. He came back without warning. Sat down. No apology. No explanation. She tried to act indifferent. But her hands shook again. He looked at her and whispered, "Did you miss me?" She hated how much she did. It was just one joke. One dumb joke. But it made her laugh. A real one. It felt dangerous. Because it felt good. And that made everything worse. She played the session back later that night. Listened to his voice over and over. Paused when he said her name. Rewound. Played again. She didn't know what she was looking for. But she knew she was already addicted. "Are you happy in your marriage?" She answered too quickly, "Yes." He smiled, slowly. "That's not what your body says." She said nothing after that. Because she knew he was right. She told herself it was just a coincidence. That she chose the red dress because it was clean. But when she caught him staring at her thighs, she felt it. That heat. That hunger. And she didn't stop him from looking. He told her a story about a woman who stabbed a man while smiling. Because love is the cruelest weapon, he said. She asked if the story was true. He didn't answer. He just watched her like he was wondering what kind of weapon she would be. She didn't know how it happened. One moment they were talking about trauma. The next, his hand was on her cheek. She didn't pull away. Not this time. Because in that moment, she wanted it more than anything else. "Are you lying to me?" she asked. He leaned in close. "Always." But his voice was soft, loving, addictive. She wanted to scream. But instead, she whispered, "Don't stop." He cried in front of her. Spoke of pain, abuse, loss. She held his hand. Whispered soft things. But hours later, reviewing the tape, she saw it. The tear was never real. Just water, from a small dropper. She told him about her suicide attempt. Showed him the scar on her wrist. His eyes didn't flinch. He touched it, softly. "We match," he said, showing his own. But my didn't notice the difference. His was fake. She cleared her schedule. Said she needed space. The truth. She just wanted more time with him. Jen had become the only voice she wanted to hear. And the only one she feared. Their knees touched. Their eyes locked. He leaned in, inches from her lips. She held her breath. And then he pulled away. Whispered, "You're not ready yet." 3 years ago, Jen was institutionalized. Diagnosed as emotionally detached. Dangerous. But he escaped therapy. By mastering it. Now he uses it as a weapon. She told herself it wasn't love. But her body betrayed her every time he entered the room. She wrote his name in the corner of her notebook. And that's when she knew she was lost. He asked if he could hug her. She hesitated. And then stepped into his arms. It lasted too long. Too soft. Too dangerous. He smelled like regret. And something she wanted to drown in. She searched for him online. His name. His past. Anything. What she found wasn't Jen. It was another man. Another photo. Another identity. The Jen she knew never existed. He walks into her office. She's waiting, with her blouse unbuttoned and her mind unraveling. But she knows now. She knows who he is. What he's done. And she's ready to burn everything down. He whispers, "Tell me one last lie, Jen." He grins. "I never loved you." Her hand reaches under the desk. For the recorder. Or the weapon. Maybe both. Because tonight, someone ends this game for good. "Why did you choose me?" she asked. He said nothing for a long time. Then whispered, "Because I saw the cracks in you, before you did." Asterisk, she wanted to slap him. She wanted to kiss him. But all she did, was smile. Star. This was her war paint. A black dress. Blood-red lips. A scent he'd never forget. She didn't come to heal. She came to bury him. "Maybe I went too far," he said. "Maybe I did fall for you." But she'd heard enough lies to know when truth was just another tactic. This time, she didn't flinch. She hit record instead. His voice cracked. His eyes dropped. For the first time, Jen looked human. But it was too late for mercy. She'd fallen into his mind. Now it was his turn to drown in hers. "You're not the first patient who tried to break me," she said. "The last one died in his sleep." Her voice was soft. Her meaning wasn't. He stood. Walked around the table. Touched her hair. "So this is it." She looked up at him. "No. This is the part where you kiss me." And he did. Like it would be their last breath. He touched her lips and smiled. "You taste different today," he whispered. She smiled back. That's because I prepared for this one. And then he collapsed. For the first time in 13 sessions, she felt clean. She picked up the phone. Dialed. I have a patient here. He's not who he says he is. And then she hung up. Because the story was already over. Every session had been recorded. Every manipulation. Every lie. She submitted the footage anonymously. And disappeared. Weeks later, a journalist asked him one question. Why did you target Dr. Mylin? He stared at the camera. Smiled. Because I thought I was the smartest person in the room. Then his eyes went cold. But I wasn't. She moved cities. Changed names. Burned her license. But people like her don't disappear. They just adapt. And one day, she opened the door to a new patient. Another man. Another story. Another game. He smiled at her. She smiled back. And somewhere, deep inside her, the voice whispered again, this time, be careful.